Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, December 1st, the first day of Advent. It is about 42 degrees right now, about 8:30 in the morning. I've got quite a lot of my plants in that I wanted to save. We're in a stretch of 4 nights that are going to be near freezing. So far, we haven't had freezing weather, although we had a slight frost yesterday, not last night, but the night before. A little bit of touch of frost here and there on the roofs. But last night it only got to, I think I saw 34. It's supposed to be coldest, I guess, the next couple of nights, so we shall see. So this is my garden being protected against frost. You can see not a lot has been touched so far. Angel's trumpet, you can tell when they're hit by frost. That was from a couple of nights ago. This rosemary's doing really well. I probably will move if we have a hard frost. When it gets down into the 20s, I would go ahead and at least move the papyrus nearer the house. That's one of the advantages of having an old home that's not very well insulated, is it's warm outside next to your house. So plants will survive outside. I did bring in my pitcher plant. Right now it is living hooked onto the back of a dining room chair. Since I had trimmed it back, it fits there quite nicely, with none of the pitchers falling over. Here you can see my cyclamen. They're still doing well. If it were to be a hard frost, I would have taken them in, but I know enough that if it's near freezing, they'll be good over there, because that's about the third or fourth year that I've had them. This is an old blanket that washed up. It's doing real well. The cardboard palm is doing fine. But yeah, I'm a very frugal person. That blanket I found on the side of the road by my property, probably about 20 years ago. And it was a nice fleece blanket, although it wouldn't be my choice of designs. I figured, however, it'd be nice to wrap plants in, so I keep that for just such occasions. And nothing out here is the worse for wear. The bananas, if frost hits them, they will turn a mushy green, and they haven't yet. Oh, there's one of the kittens coming to eat. I did lose this one rose bush. It is definitely certifiably dead. I'll worry about replacing it later in the spring, or if I'm going to keep roses there at all. I did go ahead and seed winter rye this last week. It took 30 pounds. 10 pounds for the backyard, 10 pounds for the front yard, and 10 pounds for out by the street. But it's been so dry that yesterday I spent the day watering. I watered front yard, backyard, plants, grass, everything, because it was just so dry here. In fact, the plants that I brought in, I had to water. So far, everything is doing well still. I see the kittens probably knocked over this plant. Let me go ahead and straighten it up. Oh, no, something was digging underneath it. It wanted to get at bugs. I will be bringing those in because they have sprouts around the edges, which will be flowers for next year. You maybe could see along the edge of the pot there are little sprouts coming up. But I'll let a touch of frost kill back these leaves. You know, my motto is don't cut them off until they absolutely have to come off, because it's giving energy to the roots. David still looks good here amongst the blooms of the Fatsia japonicas. They're pretty much all in full bloom here. They last for quite some time. And they're also blooming here. This may be the plant of the week, the way the sun is shining through that. Of course, by the time I complete this video, the sun will probably not be shining through that anymore. Something's been digging here at night, coming after grubs, I guess. This is where all the fungus was coming up. Here you can see the two angel's trumpets have pretty much grown together. Hopefully some of those buds will fruit or open up. In the meantime, they've given a nice canopy to everything underneath to help protect them. If it's just a light frost like we get, it tends to fall from above. So if you have your plant covered by another plant or shielded by another plant, the frost won't necessarily get down to the ground. Of course, if it's a hard frost, all that goes out the window. Let's see how my... they're still blooming over here, the cassias. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't get in there any farther because of the pots in the way. This cassia has bloomed out, but I was really surprised that they bloomed at all, being that I just planted them about a month ago. And I got them in a discount section like they were seconds. But once when I planted them in the ground, they really took off. This is what I've been waiting for the satsumas. Usually you want a few cold nights in order to really bring out the sweetness of the fruit. Well, either that or that's just it's on the tree long enough. So I'll be picking more satsumas. I have to admit, for Thanksgiving, I did not make my kumquat cranberry sauce as I usually do. Instead, I took a page out of the Swanson turkey TV dinners that I grew up on. And in that TV dinner, they usually have a cranberry apple compote. So that's what I made instead. It's the first time all the cranberries went within about 2 days. By the way, Thanksgiving was a mess at my house. I think I told you all that I had my stove repaired. The oven wasn't heating, and I used the oven for the couple of days leading up to Thanksgiving, and I went ahead and got my turkey breast and I put it in a browning bag and I put some veggies around it, and I went to turn my oven on and I couldn't light it. It was acting up, whether there was an air pocket or something, I don't know. So at the last minute, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I packed everything up and went to a friend's house, and we had Thanksgiving over there where I cooked the turkey breast. Since then, I've tried the stove every morning, and every morning the oven lights, so go figure. I figured what I learned from that is I'm going to do all of my cooking that requires the oven or baking the day before and not wait till the last minute. It was probably just the devil having a laugh. But the oven is working now. You can see I watered everything yesterday. The fall or autumn carnation encore azaleas are looking nice back here. And the back in the corner there, the ginger lily has transplanted well. I don't know if you can see it, but behind the ginger lily is a snowball viburnum that I cut back. I probably should have cut it back a lot sooner, but it's got a bunch of new growths on it. I don't think it's going to bloom yet one more time this year. It's never bloomed since I bought it. I bought it with little blooms on it. Again, winter rye you can see here. Hopefully it'll start sprouting. The cold doesn't bother it. I don't know what happened to my strawberry here, but maybe the cat sat on it or something, but one of my strawberries is not looking healthy. All of the others are. Oh, there goes another cat, the other kitten. They hang out, the kittens hang out in my yard all day and night. Oh, the ligularia are in full bloom. This is as good as it gets. A yellow daisy-like flower. They don't have a fragrance. The rocket ligularia, there's another type that has long spikes. I had that in my garden up north, and it had a scent of chocolate. These have no scent. These are also called tractor seat. The tractor seat plant. Not even mentioning ligularia in the name anywhere. There's a kitten just enjoying the sun. Not cold enough to kill back the vinca yet. Another view of all of the satsumas. That tree is loaded, and I'm going to start picking them off of the camellia. I'll give you a sneak peek into my winter propagation chamber. I don't have the heat turned on here. I don't really have I have a portable heater that I use when I need to. But this is where I brought the plants in. And the other thing I did this week is you'll see when I finish this video that my amaryllis that I planted about 3 weeks ago is in bloom. I don't know if the blooms will be open today, but I went ahead and put in a second batch and a second batch of paperwhites in the middle. Hopefully they'll all bloom for Christmas. It'll be 4 weeks. Here you can see the flower stalks are getting a little bit taller on my nun's orchid. I plan on keeping that inside. And here's where I just brought the bougainvilleas. Pardon my laundry area, but with all the plants in here, I keep the door open so that I can access the washing machine. I did bring in my, desert rose. And my plumeria, I left it out the first night, but I brought it in yesterday since we have a stretch of 4 nights of near frost. What I did the first night was bring in all the plants that either had sentimental value or I did not want to lose. The second night was the extras. That, okay, I've got some extra time, let me save those too. It gets old fast if you have periods like this once a week. It's better when they have extended stays like this, so that way at least you bring them in once and leave them in. You don't have to keep bringing them in and out, in and out. I did decide to let this mandevilla go. However, it didn't, because it is protected being up against the fence. There's some yellowing on this Pieris japonica. I don't know why. This camellia is still blooming. It's got yet one more flower. This one is huge. Whether or not you'll be able to see it, I'll have to figure out how to get at it. There you go. The one thing about camellia flowers is people have tried different methods. If you cut that, that'll stay on the plant for probably 3 or 4 days, if not longer. Oh, here's another nicer one. If you cut it, it's almost guaranteed to fall off of its stem the next day. Maybe if you're lucky, you might get 2 days in a vase. I have little bud vases that the flower I cut short enough so that the flower just nestles in the vase, so that way when it detaches you still get a little bit more enjoyment out of it. But I have seen people dip them in paraffin. They did that at the local botanical gardens once, and they gave me one that they dipped in paraffin, and it looked beautiful. It looks like a china flower or a porcelain flower. However, by the next day it kind of got brownish looking, so even that doesn't prolong the blooms that long. But if you have a smart dinner party and you want to impress people, dip some flowers in paraffin, of course melted paraffin. You'll flatten them out if you try to use the hard stuff. There's my paper white. Oh, the last of the double purple daturas. They do not like the cold. 40-degree weather really knocks them back. However, it didn't flatten them yet. So far, this is protected. This is the south side of my house. So eventually, frost will hit there, but you need really a hard frost in order to impact it. Again, winter rye is planted all over here. Nothing really new in the potager. I still have Thai basil. Thai basil. One sprig of regular basil. My lettuces are a little the worse for wear. And I still have some regular basil. Let's see what the front looks like. I will be starting to do some Christmas decorations. This looks pretty good. So far the pansies have stopped blooming. They will bloom again. Oh, I got rid of my pumpkins. And I planted yellow pansies, my favorites. Monkey faces, my grandmother used to call them. The yellow ones. I planted them on either side of the door where I have had them in past. They're the same color that are in front of my picket fence, just not blooming right now. The cycad flowering stalk, or whatever you want to call it, female parts, looks actually kind of pretty with the seeds coming up. This is one of the few things. Down here are thorns. Up here it's soft. You do have to be careful because cycads exude a poison on their, chemical I should say, on their spines, so that if it punctures the skin it feels like a bee sting. It's not necessarily just the thorn that's in your hand, it's the chemical that it secretes over its thorns. Here I have one last big fig of the season. I'll let it ripen and see how it tastes. Back in here is my favorite camellia, but I don't know why. This is Professor Sargent. It's supposed to be red, and it seems, I don't know if you can see that or not, but for some reason it seems to be pink this year. I do prefer it to be red, however, I'll take what I can get. This Encore azalea always does best over here. And this one I had cut back to the ground about 2 years ago. I think it accidentally got stepped on while I was weeding. Back in here, all is well. You can hear the whiz of the gas meter going. The heat's on in the house. My hands are getting a little numb from holding this camera. Or this phone, I should say. Back in here, all is well. Flowers are gone from the loquat. Hopefully they'll get some fruit. Some. I don't need a whole lot of fruit. Just some would be nice. Let's take a look over here. This cassia has already gone to seed. I've never had it produce seeds because usually frost gets it first. But I'm going to let these pods ripen. For one, they give some texture or something to look at the plant. And I may try seeding some around. There's my cryptomeria. Looks like it actually grew a little bit. It might like that spot. Never had a cryptomeria, but well, I take that back. I did have two cryptomeria called Fire Chief. Although I don't think that's technically, it looked like a cryptomeria. In any event, they died when I didn't water them enough. Still has a few flowers, the cassia. The bulbs out at the street. Of course, they're not going to come up just yet. But I did water all this. In fact, I did go ahead and water. I could only reach halfway down the street with my hose because I planted winter rye in the grassy spots next to the sidewalk. So I wound up having to use a watering can. So I did about 30 walks back and forth to the water tap. Of course, I had the hose out by the street. It just didn't stretch far enough. I think, note to self, I'll probably buy an extension, get a longer hose. It's very rare that I have to do any watering typically I don't water at the street. Prior to the sidewalk going in, all I did was mow and weed whack it. Was incidentally a lot easier than having a sidewalk. Now with the sidewalk and the curb, you kind of have to edge along all of them. So it's edge on one side of the sidewalk, edge on the other side of the sidewalk, edge at the curb, and then weed whack the bottom of the fence. It winds up taking quite some time now to maintain that little piece, but it looks good. Let's go inside here where we shall finish. There I am in my winter garb, if you can see. There's a name for these knitted ski caps. I'll just call it a ski cap. Whew, it's warm in here. And it's about 9 o'clock. Perfect timing. But it's nice and warm. I still have all of the flowers on my Phalaenopsis. I don't want to brag too much because they could fall off tomorrow in a skinny minute. Well, unfortunately, the flowers haven't opened. However, this is 3 weeks since I planted this one. And after it blooms, I will go ahead and plant it out front on either side of my front steps here. That's where I put all of I always get at least 4 amaryllis, and I always get the same red lion. And that way I plant them outside and they come up for many years. We'll never have as spectacular a bloom as the first one. However, they come back, which is always a nice thing. This mandevilla looks kind of good in the pot. I think it will live in here. I'm kind of debating. I'm going to start tomorrow. Today is Sunday. I don't think I'm going to do any decorating today. But I'm going to start decorating, since it's the first day of Advent, for Christmas. And being how all of these plants are in the front porch, I don't think you'll have to wait till next week to see. Normally I put a Christmas tree in one corner or the other. And this year, I may not. We'll have to see. I have enough other Christmas stuff to put out. Normally I put out like 3 trees, 2 big ones and 1 small one. So I will definitely have 1 tree. Not certain exactly where it's going to go. Oh, I should show you in the living room here. There is where I put the ponytail palm. And that's where it's going to live. That's where it has lived in the past. Although that little French chest is new. I got that last year. I really got it for the front porch. But I just liked it so much I left it here. But in any event, there's where I put the ponytail palm. And I brought in the best looking paper white. I just have it on the floor right now. I think I'm going to substitute it and put it up by the window. But that is the spot where I put my little Christmas tree, or a Christmas tree. So it's either going to be there or here. If it goes here, I have to figure out what to do with the ponytail palm. And let me tell you, that was heavy as heck getting that there. Still have to change out my fall wreath. But like I said, I have a lot of Christmassy stuff, so I won't miss a tree or two. But there you have it for today. I hope you all get to go out in your garden and enjoy it. And I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. And don't spend too much money. Remember, eventually you're going to have to pay for all that stuff. So until next week, I'll leave you with a picture of my amaryllis. Take care.